Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this week's Deck Tech here on YouTube. If you like what you're seeing, why don't you run down there and hit subscribe? It really helps us out. Or you can help us out even more by checking out our Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew, and help us make all the content we make here, including this show, the CB vlog, Battle of the Brews, the audio show. Everything that we do is made possible by our patrons. So help us out. But this week's Deck Tech is about to drop. Let's get into it. Sean, what is it?
This week, Massacre Girl. Ooh, Massacre Girl is a cool commander. I can't off the top of my head think of another obvious board wipe commander. She's effectively a board wipe, but she's better than a board wipe because she sticks around. I call her a board wipe because this is how the chain works. If you haven't figured it out. So Massacre Girl hits the battlefield. As long as there's something with 1 toughness, that dies, and now everything gets another -1/-1. And if now anything with 2 toughness will also die. And if there's multiple things, then we're putting multiple triggers on the stack. So as long as there are less creatures than the highest toughness on the battlefield,
Yeah.
there are ways that won't work. If everything is a 10/10, nothing goes away.
Yeah.
But if there's like a handful, and trust me, our deck will put a handful of little things out there. Everything is going to go. Massacre Girl is going to be the last one. Then once we do that, we're going to keep that board clear, and we're going to pressure our opponents with vehicles to keep it going.
I love my Massacre Girl.
Yes, sweet Massacre Girl. Great tune.
Yeah,
Great
yeah,
tune.
right? Very good tune.
Yeah.
Good call. That is definitely what I think about every time I see it now. That song, Calendar Girl. Okay, well, let's, what do you think we get into a couple of these neat moves?
Working on a
Neat.
Okay, well, neat move number 1. Got to start up the chain, right? We got to get things going. Start things up. We need 1/1 creatures, and a great way to do that is with a Catcher's Monument. Ignore the part where it's talking about white creature spells, but that's the beauty of actually most of the monuments is that you don't actually really. Well, first of all, commander rules, you don't need to have the color. But second of all, you actually don't need the color to make this even worth it, because in a deck like Massacre Girl, just casting the creature spell and getting that 1/1 warrior token is what we're looking for. So that means just having this out alone starts the chain, because when you cast Massacre Girl, a Catcher's Monument triggers, the token comes down and then it dies. So
Yeah,
it's
great.
a great way to start it off.
Another useful tool is Retrofitter Foundry. All those abilities. We're probably not going to use many of them besides creating servos. But if we've got a bunch of mana in a turn, I might untap it. I might make a second servo. I might make a Thopter and just do a little bit of chip-in damage in the air before I do Massacre Girl. Something to keep in mind is your opponents are aware that Massacre Girl's coming. So they're not going to just play out everything into it. So this is a way to keep the pressure coming if they decide not to.
Yeah, you getting little creatures out is just now they're doing the math in their head as well of oh, actually, if I play this, it's going to trigger this, and then that's going to die, and then the bigger thing that I have out already is going to die, and so on. So, yeah, it kind of has a natural effect of keeping things off the battlefield, even if you haven't cast her yet.
Yeah, and if they don't play things, great. Have a bunch of Thopters to the face.
Right. Another way to create the chain and get it going is just with a Forbidden Orchard. You can tap this for any color, which I'm guessing you're always going to use black in this deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gives them the 1/1 for you to actually hit with Massacre Girl, and then keep things rolling.
Yeah, based on how this deck is going to run, I'll let you know later. I'll remind you, we don't want to use this later. Well, we're planning on keeping the board clear by destroying creatures. Massacre Girl herself has Menace, so we don't want to give them little 1/1s to add in to chump blocks. But early on, as a way to ensure that this chain is going to fly, that's amazing. Right? Because that's 2. So at the end of the last player's turn, I can just randomly be okay, tap, give you a spirit. My turn begins, tap for black, give you another spirit, and I'm going to use that black to cast Massacre Girl. And there's 2 surprise 1/1s, making that chain a little bit bigger that they may not see coming quite accurately.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a couple of cards here. Creatures that are going to try to resist Massacre Girl's ability. I'm talking Yahenni, Undying Partisan. So Yeheni gets +1/+1 counters based on opponent's creatures dying. We add these triggers to the stack all at the same time. If an opponent's creature dies after we've cast Massacre Girl, we get to add, everything gets -1/-1, and we put counters on. So we're going to put the counters on first, then everything will shrink. So Yeheni will keep pace with all of the -1/-1s as long as we don't have more little 1/1s than our opponents do. But again, Yeheni can solve that problem by sacking those 1/1s except for the last one to start the chain before you resolve Massacre Girl.
Yeah, you can pare down your board so that Yeheni actually will survive the massacre.
And that is to say, if you haven't killed a couple creatures before that. Sometimes Yeheni's already like a 6/6 or a 7/7, so you're like, great, fine. They will survive the first batch of -1/-1s anyway.
Yeah, and the other card is Scavenger Drake, which is just the better sort of for the purposes of this, the better version, where just when anything dies, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So this will always outpace it, unless it's the only unless it's just a 1/1 when you cast Massacre Girl, in which case it just dies.
Yeah, everything gets -1/-1, this will die. But again, creatures die in Commander. It happens.
Yeah, so get a counter on this guy and then go to town with Massacre Girl.
Reassembling skeletons in the deck. This is a great way to just... It's a 1/1 that helps start the chain. We can use it as a chump blocker if our opponents aren't developing their board much and we don't want to cast Massacre Girl. We can just keep recurring this on people's end steps, so we untap it on our turn. We don't mind, like, even after Massacre Girl finishes resolving and the dust settles, we can be like, and reassembling skeleton pops back out.
Yeah, you can do it in between too, right?
You can, you can. If you had extra mana, you
triggers,
could, you could make reassembling and come back, get minus. If you just that's an expensive way to do it, but sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah, sometimes you can do it. So we mentioned vehicles off the top, and we've got a cool little suite of just a couple to mention to you here. First of them is Conqueror's Galleon. This is going to flip into a land that's very helpful just from getting things back from our graveyard, helping us with a little draw. Next is Sky Sovereign, console flagship. Pops in, deals some damage. Every time it attacks, it deals some damage, and it's a big 6/5. And we also have what is it? It's the Mana Rock one.
Cultivator's Caravan. That's in there too. Yeah.
Caravans, yeah. So we'll talk about that one in a second. But yeah, vehicles. This is a great way because Massacre Girl comes out, wipes the board, but you have a vehicle already on the board. Then it taps to crew that vehicle, and then you can start getting in for some damage or some other effects, which is just very, very solid, right? Like Sky Sovereign just sniping, their like utility creature or utility commander or something with that 3 damage, or taking out a planeswalker or something. Very effective, right? Like dodging board wipes, like that's what vehicles do really well. And all of the vehicles in the deck crew for 4 or less, just so that you can always do it with Massacre Girl.
Yeah, and then Conqueror's Galleon, being able to transform into a land that lets you get back any card from the graveyard. If we can build up enough mana, we can do some dirty things with that combo. So again, it's all in the name of this is, we're in the mid phase of our game plan. We've flooded the board with tokens, and now we're interested in wiping up the board with Massacre Girl. Like, that's the thing. Your opponents might not play a lot of creatures because they see Massacre Girl. Guess what? These vehicles are going to get crewed by these little cat tokens and by Yeheni, and they're going to come at you. So eventually you have to play something or just die to these guys. Like, it's your opponents are in a tough spot here.
Sean, I wish Oketra's Monument made cat tokens. We all know it makes warriors for some reason.
I know, it's warrior tokens. Dang it.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Anyways.
I
wish.
So we're in the second phase of our game plan. We've wiped the board with Massacre Girl. We've got some vehicles. We want to keep the board clear with cards like Liliana's Triumph. Making your opponent sack creatures isn't that effective generally because they have ways of making many creatures, and they'll always sack the worst one. But if they only have one, their best one is their worst one. So that's this card works fine. You can also, I've also in some testing fired this off early because I've got a Yeheni. I'm like, sure, I'll take a Yeheni. Like, I can see a good opportunity to do this. Like, someone has only a commander out. Yeah, I'll snipe that for now.
Yeah, that's good. Vonus Hunger, similar card. It has Ascend and will make them sacrifice half the creatures they control round it up if you have the city's blessing. So this one also just like a more effective version, and being able to loop this with a Conqueror's Galleon is going to be sweet.
Oh my god. These are the kind of cards that if Conqueror's Galleon is flipped, if you can loop these, it's bonkers. Yeah. And then, so here's a fun, neat move. This is a really neat move. I have Shriekmaw on the deck because sometimes we can't make them sack. Sometimes we have to point at a creature and say, you gotta die. Shriekmaw won't hit non-black creatures, but that evoke ability is pretty, because we can evoke it, and while it is on the battlefield and a creature is being destroyed, we can use it to crew a vehicle and then swing in addition with, let's say, our Cultivator's Caravan. P.S. My favorite all-color mana rock in the game.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Cultivator's Caravan, great little mana rock vehicle, perfectly paired up with Shriekmaw in this instance. So yeah, very cool card to include as well. I just want to note, just like, when was the last time you took a real good hard look at the Shriekmaw art? It is very weird. It has little hands, and like, I guess that's its mouth, but it has eyes on either side of its mouth, which I always forget about. Anyways, wild card.
Yeah, the maw is shrieking.
Yeah, the maw is shrieking.
But I guess based on the flavor, that would imply that black creatures don't have ears, and they aren't bothered by shrieking screams.
Is the shrieking is what's killing it?
I think so.
Shriekmaw, the Shriek Mother.
Yeah.
Okay. Another way you can get this deck kind of going is with some like equipment. If you wanted to, like, there's kind of a whole other like build of, I think, Massacre Girl where you use a lot of like Voltron-y aspects.
Haste for sure.
Yeah, right. And we leaned a little more towards like we said, like keeping the board clear and getting vehicles in and stuff. But Stratascythe is still just a very good card in basically any monocolored deck. So you exile a swamp, and then all of a sudden the Stratascythe for the equip cost of 3 is like giving your Massacre Girl like +7/+7 +8/+8, and then it has menace as well. Like, man,
oh yeah, yeah,
that's
forget
it. That's a commander damage kill right there.
Yeah, like, so we're often using her to crew vehicles, so we won't always be doing that, but like if this is an option. While Andy and I were chatting about the deck, we were also realized that Cranial Plating might be a good substitute for this, to be able to instant speed equip it to something else. It's good early pressure too, because something I don't always think about, not all metas run basics. Like, some metas are just chock full of duels, and like there's hardly any basics. So Stratascythe does go down in those metas, but we have other options too.
I mean, I think it's just good enough if you are a monocolor deck to run Stratascythe. Like, your lands are going to be mostly basic, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be average 5/5 to 7/7.
Yeah, which is great.
There was a surprising discovery. I think looking at the vehicles, Untethered Express is surprisingly good. It starts as a 4/4 trample, but it's really a 5/5 trample that crews for 1 that keeps getting bigger. So again, this it crews for 1, so all of our dumb tokens are crewing this thing. And if your opponents refuse to develop their board because of Massacre Girl, we're just going to keep coming at them for a 5/5, a 6/6, a 7/7, an 8/8. Like, they have to deal with it eventually.
Check it.
Yeah, right.
Check it. 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8.
It's true. It's true.
It's very true. Yeah. What's the budget looking like on this one?
So this deck came in. Wait. Beep, beep, beep,
Beep, beep, beep, beep, beep, beep.
Okay,
Yeah.
So the budget came in at $110, just shy, 109. But I think the top 2 most expensive cards are a little bit of a cute combo. Sometimes those aren't always so, but they are cute. The most expensive card is Black Market. That's $8 now. It's undeniably powerful. Getting extra mana is a way to cheat at the game, and that's the best. And after one Massacre Girl visit, this thing's going to be loaded up to 10, 15, 20. But this deck isn't full of a ton of mana sinks. The best use for it, before the second most expensive card, is probably looping Conqueror's Galleon and like a sack spell, just using the 6 mana and something to do that. But that's a little bit narrow. We can't really take advantage of this.
And I just do want to put out there as a quick warning, despite what Sean just said, making extra mana is not cheating.
Well,
Just will tell everyone.
Yes, it's not cheating, but it cheats the balance.
You are
of the game.
allowed to do it.
You're allowed to do it.
You will not receive a lifetime ban from Magic for doing it.
No.
No, but you're right in that the second most expensive card, Torment of Hailfire, is a really good card to pair up with Black Market just because it's an X spell. Having to repeat that process X times can be actually totally like debilitating, right? You're hardly ever going to kill someone with this card, it feels like, unless you have like infinite mana, obviously. But being able to do it a lot of times will just it can like really fully set your opponents behind by quite a bit. If they're sacking like their mana rocks and they're discarding cards, you know what I mean? It's big.
Yeah, and Torment of Hailfire is decent with Massacre Girl, because Massacre Girl will probably wipe the board of all creatures, and then they probably won't be able to cast too many more permanents before it comes back to you. So it is well positioned in this deck at that time, but maybe it's not worth the 750. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The third most expensive card is Skull Clamp. This is a staple, and it just keeps going up. Obviously, we make a ton of 1/1s. We can really use this card, but it's $5 for a reason, despite having like 7 commander reprints.
So many reprints. Just put it in every deck from now on.
Basically, like I'll put it in decks that don't run tons of tokens, just because this thing's gonna die eventually, and when it does, I'm getting 2 cards out of it.
Favorite cards.
Yes.
I'll pick mine, which also may have been Jamon's favorite card. He was a user on our Discord who suggested this one. Grim Return. Really fun card. You play Massacre Girl. If you've got some mana left over for Grim Return, you just get the best thing that was put into the graveyard from the battlefield that turn. Instant speed on your battlefield. It's great. Also, just a wicked card to hang on to for after other board wipes too. Like if someone else board wipes, you can just instant speed, Grim Return on your end step, and get back the best thing.
That's a fun one too. And like we didn't talk about this, but the deck runs a fair number of spot removal cards, so like we can just pair that with Grim Return too. This is not just a Massacre Girl card. Like it works in a lot of ways.
Great.
My favorite card is Endrick Sar. Making all those thralls as a cast trigger means that Massacre Girl will add 5 thralls. Maybe Endrick Sar will make him disappear because there's too many thralls at that point. But this will ensure a massive chain when Massacre Girls drops.
Yeah, one of the best starters if you can have him out before Massacre Girl. It's really solid.
True. And again, if your opponents don't want to develop their board, yeah, fine. I'll just cast a different creature. Endrick Sar gets sacrificed. Maybe I Grim Return it, and I just although you'll still control the throw, so that's a bad move. But anyway, like this deck seems to put our opponents in an interesting position where they're like, do I develop or do I not develop? And we want to put pressure in both instances.
Yeah, and I just love the idea that like you're also creating the creatures. Like if you're playing against a deck that's not running a ton of creatures and isn't going to really feel the heat from this deck, you're still making it happen for you. You know what I mean? Like you're still doing the thing you want to do. So yeah, I think that's really fun. Massacre Girl seems like a ton of fun for, again, another mono colored commander. They coming out of this set, they're looking pretty powerful.
They are. I would like to play this in real life to see how my opponents deal with it. Well, how that changes the psychology. There's only one way to find out, and that's in real life. I hope to play it soon. Maybe it'll show up on a Battle of the Brews in the future.
Ooh, that would be fun.
But if you've got like a favorite card, like what's your favorite neat move for a Massacre Girl deck? We want to hear in the comments below. Yeah, let us know if there's any interesting additions.
Let us know for sure. We'll be in those comments with you, talking about it. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.